Scott Pruitt, administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, at the White House in June. Aldraguth, New York Times, Washington. The Environmental Protection Agency has signed a contract for nearly $25,000 to build a soundproof communications booth for the office of the administrator, Scott Pruitt. The contract, with Acoustical Solutions in Richmond, Virginia, was first reported by The Washington Post. It calls for the construction of a $24,570 privacy booth for Mr. Pruitt's office. Liz Bowman, a spokeswoman for the E.p.a., did not return requests for comment on the contract. In a statement to the Post, she said agencies needed to have such booths to guard against hacking and eavesdropping. This is something which a number, if not all, cabinet officers have and E.p.a. needs to have updated, she said. Critics say Mr. Pruitt has gone to unusual lengths to operate in secrecy at the E.p.a., where employees report he is often accompanied by armed guards even inside the agency, and avoids making important calls in his office. He is the first E.p.a. administrator to have round-the-clock security. Steve Snyder, a salesman at Acoustical Solutions who handled the E.p.a. contract, said privacy booths are typically used to conduct hearing tests and cost $5,000 to $6,000. He said the E.p.a. had requested significant modifications that ultimately required a custom order for the booth with a manufacturer. They wanted a secure phone and computer room, essentially for sensitive information, Mr. Snyder said. You can't hear what's going on outside, but conversely people outside can hear what's going on inside. The company has worked with government offices since at least 2007 to soundproof rooms and provide acoustic insulation, according to the Federal Contract Database. The company currently has contracts with the Treasury Department to create a sound enclosure at the United States Mint in Denver. Mr. Snyder said the E.p.a.'s request for a secure booth for the head of the agency was unusual. It's the first time that I've seen it, he said. Liz Gannon, who served as a spokeswoman for Gina McCarthy, the E.p.a. administrator under President Obama, called the purchase bizarre and unnecessary. Ms. Gannon says the agency already had a secure room for working with classified information. As someone who spent a lot of time in the administrator's office, I can tell you that there was nothing like this previously, she said. I can't imagine why this taxpayer expense would be necessary and why an extra secure room is needed in his office, other than to avoid staff. Follow @NightClimate on Twitter. A version of this article appears in print on September 27, 2017, on page A20 of the New York edition, with the headline "Soundproof Booth is Set for Office of E.p.a. Chief."